Hi, I'm Joshua Sinclair, formerly Clyde Taylor. This is excerpt number 1 from our audio-video book, Anatomy of Injustice, Corruption, and Coverups. This is extremely rare and possibly never happened before. This is an internal investigation report prepared by the Affirmative Action Office at the Rochester Psychiatric Center, or RPC. The report is identified as AA/DC number 3-87. And this is an investigation report prepared by the New York State Division of Human Rights. It is dated 8/16/88. They will both be posted at the conclusion of this video so that they can be read in their entirety by pausing the video. Both of these investigation reports reveal that my employment evaluations prepared by my direct supervisor at RPC stressed that I was an above-average employee, but also that RPC actually admitted that I was subjected to ongoing discriminatory treatment and harassment in the pharmacy department at RPC, where I was the only black employee, and that I was then retaliated against because I filed formal discrimination complaints. Now, probably every lawyer and anyone else who is familiar with discrimination and sexual harassment cases will say that even in the strongest and most obvious cases, employers will often settle the case, sometimes even for millions of dollars, but that the employer will usually stress that they settled the case without admitting any wrongdoing. That is why these investigation reports are extremely rare. The ongoing discrimination and harassment that I was subjected to at RPC began when my coworkers realized that I began dating and subsequently married another employee at RPC who happened to be white. Her name was Rebecca Bauman, and she worked in RPC's Education and Training Department. This is an employee evaluation note dated 8/12/86. It was graciously prepared by my direct supervisor at RPC, a pharmacist named Mark Buff, in which he went as far as to say that he considered it his fortune to work with me, and that when we worked together, I made him look good. His words. After my coworkers realized that I was dating Becky, the assistant director of the pharmacy department, a pharmacist named John Vineron, who, by the way, was the person who previously interviewed me and made the decision to hire me, suddenly insisted that he would personally prepare my employee evaluations from then on, not Mr. Buff or anyone else, even though he was not my direct supervisor. That is when the blatant discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation began and became progressively worse and eventually unbearable. This is a doctor's statement dated 8/19/88, which was prepared by my primary care physician at that time, a doctor named John Huzzleton, who informed RPC that he was taking me out of work and placing me on sick leave because of situational emotional stress resulting from job discrimination as a result of the ongoing discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation that I was subjected to in the pharmacy department at RPC. He simply requested that I should be given a different supervisor, anyone except John Vineron, or that I should be transferred to a different department. Although RPC admitted that I was discriminated against, harassed, and retaliated against in the pharmacy department, especially by John Vineron, RPC refused to agree to give me a different supervisor as my doctor requested, and they claimed that the only other position in the entire facility that was available to transfer me to was a position as a groundskeeper, which, if I remember correctly, might have been a lower pay grade than my position as a pharmacy technician. RPC, which is a New York State facility, eventually terminated my position as a civil service employee in the pharmacy department while I was on sick leave. And the New York State Workers' Compensation Board denied my claim for workers' compensation benefits. This is a letter from the New York State Division of Human Rights, dated April 10, 2000, revealing the fact that RPC and the New York State Division of Human Rights repeatedly attempted to pressure me to accept a settlement offer of $50,000, which was far less than my back pay. And they informed me that they would simply close the case if I did not accept their $50,000 settlement offer. Years earlier, shortly after the New York State Division of Human Rights completed their investigation and their report back in 1988, I initially informed the Division of Human Rights and RPC that I would discuss their settlement offer with my then wife on the day that the attorney who was representing the state of New York, a lawyer named Louis Patak, made the offer of $50,000 and began pressuring me to accept that offer, basically claiming that the state of New York could not afford to pay me more. I was eager to get out of that meeting and away from that pressure and from their very demeaning, insulting, and belittling comments. And after I returned to our home, I promptly informed the New York State Division of Human Rights and RPC that I would not accept any offer less than my full back pay, as well as an additional amount for the prolonged pain and suffering and emotional distress that I was subjected to in the pharmacy department at RPC because of the horrendous harassment and blatant retaliation that I was subjected to for months after month. Nevertheless, the attempts to pressure me to accept the $50,000 settlement offer continued, and even included additional pressure by an attorney who I believe was named Carlos Rodriguez, who said he was employed by and representing the New York State Attorney General's office at that time. Interestingly, while all of this was occurring, my then wife, Becky, took the initiative to write a wonderful letter to the then governor of the state of New York, Mario Cuomo, father of the current governor, pleading for his intervention on our behalf and informing him of my reputation as an above-average New York State and RPC employee, and praising me for being the type of man that I am. And I assumed that her letter might still be on file in the governor's office. However, years later, at the end of our 13-plus year marriage, and during our bitter custody dispute, she stated in her first of a seemingly endless series of frivolous family court petitions that I only claimed to be discriminated against and to have lost my job at RPC because I dated and married a white woman. In this regard, it is important to point out that RPC and the New York State Division of Human Rights claimed in their investigation reports that the discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation that I was subjected to in the pharmacy department at RPC was because of my religion as one of Jehovah's Witnesses instead of my race or my marriage to a white woman. However, I therefore have to stress the fact that John Vineron, who, as I mentioned earlier, was the assistant director of the pharmacy department who interviewed me for the job and made the decision to hire me, was informed that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses during the interview, and that I told him that I would not accept the job if it required me to work weekends, because I was not willing to miss our Sunday meetings or our Saturday field ministry activities. And John Vineron, who was eventually primarily responsible for the discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation, stressed to me during the interview that my devotion to my religion and my determination to participate in my religious activities on the weekends would not be a problem for me. Furthermore, all of the evidence clearly reveals that the discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation did not begin until John Vineron and my other co-workers realized that I was dating a woman who happened to be white. Plus, the discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation that I was subjected to included me being penalized for being late, while other employees, white employees, were not recorded as being late, even if we walked into the pharmacy at the exact same time, side by side. And John Vineron continually added negative notes to my personnel file, accusing me of negatively affecting employee morale in the pharmacy department because I would write notes to establish a record of the specific examples and incidents of discriminatory treatment, harassment, and retaliation, which is what the director of the pharmacy, Robert Siegel, specifically instructed me to do, so that he could examine my notes to determine if my complaints were legitimate, and so that he could consider what, if any, actions that he should take to try to remedy the situation. Obviously, none of those things had anything whatsoever to do with my religion. Of course, since John Vineron was very aware of how important my spirituality and religious activities on the weekends were to me from the day that he interviewed me for the job, after I filed my formal discrimination complaints, he tried to pressure me to quit my job by changing my work schedule and compelling me to work weekends, even though another pharmacy technician named Ray Solomon, who I had even seniority with because we both started working at RPC on the same day, actually expressed a preference and requested to work weekends. Finally, I intend to forward this video to the current governor of the state of New York and to the current New York State Attorney General via email, as well as their social media platforms, and a written transcript of this video along with the documents posted in this video. And I intend to record an update video to reveal whether or not either of them responded and if either of them took any action to rectify this matter. But that's it for now. And you can now read the aforementioned investigation reports in their entirety. Peace, shalom, and assalamu alaikum to all. With love, best wishes, and blessings from my family and me to each of you and everyone who is near and dear to you.